So you admit that these problems do exist. I mean, you identify the bottlenecks that prevent Nigerians from maximizing the use of their own ports, yet we give them only perhaps less than a 30-day time frame to adjust to using the Nigerian ports, as it were. We're not thinking of addressing some of those issues as quickly as we can, or giving ourselves time to address those issues as much as we can before we now say, Nigerians, well, you have no complaints now, you have to use this port. Why are we doing that?
No, talking about the grace period, importers in Benin Republic, people who go to Benin Republic, who patronize Benin Republics, are not importers. I mean, as we heard from our brother in Benin, they don't import the cars into Benin. They go there to shop for the cars and clear it through the borders. So you have 3-4 weeks to adjust to not going to Benin Republic. So if you imported your car and it has landed in Benin Republic, what we hear is that it takes you 2-3 days to clear. So they have enough period. They have enough period within the grace period allocated to clear those goods. Nigerians can now begin to adjust that if you want to land your car in a port, land it in Nigerian port as from the 1st of January 2017. The grace period is more than enough for anybody who have cars or who wants to go and buy cars in Cotonou to buy and clear them. Nigeria.
But part of what we heard is some of them say they are actually those of them who import vehicles through Benin Republic, and they are saying the reason why they do that is that in Nigerian ports, it's almost like a week before your car enters the demurrage, but over there, it's almost a year. That's one of the things that they say is different from our operating environment and theirs.
We all have a collective responsibility to take our authorities, the various authorities in Nigeria, to task regarding creating more friendly environment for our ports. The issue of charges is something that is being addressed by the Nigerian Shippers Council. So, and we are interested parties because the more cargo that come to Nigeria, the more revenue that we are going to derive. So, as Nigerians, we all need to, speak up, take up the issue of charges. If the charges are higher, of course, the terminal operators should be taken to task so that they can either review their charges and provide better service. But this is not enough. It's not just about service. It used to be much worse than that before the ports were concessioned in 2006. The truth, the absolute truth, is the fact that Nigerians will enjoy all the good services. These importers will enjoy all the good services in Benin Republic. They will drive on good roads from Semeboda to Cotonou. They will not think about the fact that it is the revenue and taxes that the Benin authorities are collecting that is making them have these good roads. So when you want to take advantage of all those, you pay everything in Benin Republic, and you come to Nigeria to tell stories, to tell them to adjust year of manufacture, to tell them to adjust the cost, the invoice, to fake documents and all of that, to bribe officers so that you can pay less. We will not get friendlier environments than they used to have. So the first thing is that we need to speak to ourselves that if we want good services, we must be ready to discharge our responsibilities and obligations as good Nigerians first. After that, we can begin to hold all our authorities accountable for whatever they collect so that they spend it for what it is collected for.
They think that it should be the other way around. We should hold them accountable first and have a more friendly port, because still we'll have to come back to a port that is really unfriendly. Well, good thing we're not importers, but many Nigerians who are importers, they're complaining and they say our ports are really unfriendly. And you just highlighted the issue with the banks. Perhaps one would have thought that the Customs Service and the Ports Authority should have been able to meet with them and see how that can work with some of the banks. And it's amazing that at this point in time we're talking about this and we still haven't been able to put that in perspective. But very quickly again, how come that some of these ports in the country, they all charge different duties? Port Harcourt is quite different from Tin Can Island. And not far away from Tin Can Island, the Apapa port also has a different duty charge for the same kind of vehicle or for the same year. Is that what we call friendly charge or environment?
Yeah, so sometimes during the year, customs realize that because we got complaints from terminal operators, from importers, that actually some importers do what we call port shopping. They go to some ports and discover that the charges are less, and they patronize those ports more. What customs has done in response, is to restructure the major vehicle importing platforms that we have in Nigeria, in Lagos ports, particularly the PTML, which is the Roro ports, and then the Roro part of Tin Can. The plan is to have them in one command, so that what happens, in one side of the Roro is also the same in the other side of the Roro ports. In terms of customs duties, there should be no difference because the duty rates are the same. So there could be some human factors in this, and this is why customs resorted to the restructuring. Now, between Port Harcourt and Lagos, between Apapa and Lagos, there could be some differences, just like we have differences between the port charges in Cotonou and in Lagos ports. The terminal operators are different. The services they render are different. The concessionaires that are operating the different port concessions are different. So the charges that they apply might be different. But there is an agency of government that is looking into that, reviewing all their charges to harmonize and ensure that importers are also charged and they get a good value for money.
When you said that smuggling was part of the key challenge you were facing before that decision came up, and many will wonder, isn't the primary responsibility of the customs to collect revenue and stop smuggling? So why ban outright through the land borders? Why don't you then go to those borders and collect the tariffs rather than just place a blanket ban?
Well, depending on the type of cargo, you could have those kind of policies, restrictions to assist in the implementation of such policies. We have medicals, for example. Medicine, pharmaceutical products do not come through the land borders for a very long time. Rice is very popular. You know about rice. They don't come through the land borders. So this is one card that was left by government to play to ensure that we bring sanity into that business. The nature of our borders, they are so very, very porous. Our communities around the borders are not helping customs. Most of the times when we have confrontations, the communities are always at risk. We've had serious incidences where stray bullets, communities in the borders suffer from casualties onto avoidable casualties when there are collisions between customs and smugglers. So, and it also speaks to the fact that a good number of those community areas are not as developed because they don't see amenities that customs is urging them to pay duty for. So these are some of the issues. So if we cannot, get good results through the borders, if we cannot get good cooperation from our colleagues, the customs administrations in the neighboring countries, if we do not have, good high level of compliance from customs agents and importers, there's nothing wrong in us, using the next options on the table, which is restrictions of the imports.
But many will say, if I could jump in there, many will then say that what this policy suggests is that the customs has just said that they do not have the capacity to stop smuggling through the land borders.
Well, customs, nobody will tell you that customs can stop smuggling. The best we can do, the best any customs administration in the world can do, is to reduce smuggling, bring it to its barest minimum. There will always be inducement for smuggling, either because of policies, either because of profit motivations and things like that. We read about what happens between the borders of the U.S. and Mexico. Is it that the U.S. customs lacks the capacity? It is because certain policies would always create some kind of incentive for smugglers. They want to go behind it and say, what can we do to circumvent this and make fast money? So
let me jump in with this. Pardon me, let me jump in with this, because there are those who will then say, the reason why some of these thrive is they don't know how many of smugglers has the customs prosecuted, because they think you just collect the goods from these people and then you create an avenue for them to go free. How about your members who have been accused of colluding with smugglers? Has anyone been prosecuted?
Let's take it at two levels. What we do to officers, what we do to smugglers. And for officers, it's very obvious. Very recently, 49 of our senior officers and about 35 of our junior officers, were dismissed, not retired, not suspended, dismissed from the service. So they have to pay supreme service sacrifice with their career. Let's talk about the smugglers. Unfortunately, the body of the law that we have now is not punitive enough. We don't have provisions that are punitive enough that will serve as deterrent. We still have fines ranging from 2,000 naira to 5,000 naira. We still have jail terms that gives 6 months and then give the option of a fine and all of that. So customs has started to talk about the need for us to have a legal framework that will provide, more punitive sanctions against smugglers. And to say that we're not getting results, that is not exactly true. In June, was it June or July, we successfully prosecuted 10 smugglers through our Federal Operations Unit in Lagos, the Federal High Court. But unfortunately, we were pushing for 10 years for them. Unfortunately, they all got 2 years. As we speak, they are enjoying their time in Kirikiri.
All right, Mr. Wale Adeniyi, we appreciate your talking to us, even though many think that they're more concerned about revenue generation rather than what Nigerians or those importers are going through. Thank you again for talking to us. Wale Adeniyi is the spokesperson for the Nigerian Customs.